Hello, good morning. A very warm welcome to everyone to today's 1.1 oneness meditation session. For those of you that are new, my name is Matthew and I work here at Onepoint. And just a bit of background on the sessions. We started these sessions about a year ago because many of us at Onepoint have a regular daily meditation practice that we find really beneficial. And the idea came that it'd be really nice to share insights into these practices and do some guided meditations, talk about positive thinking and related areas, and share that with a wider audience. So 1.1 was born. And we have these sessions every Friday morning. And we've been very lucky to have some really great guest speakers over the year. And today's no exception. I'm very pleased to welcome to Oneness, Al Hodgson. Al, if you'd like to join us. So, very warm welcome to you, Al. So,
Thank you.
Just a bit of an introduction. Al works with electronics for musicians, media design, and IT. He's played a key role over the past 20 years in the work of the Global Retreat Centre in Oxfordshire, where many thousands have actually received spiritual understanding and experience. Al is a regular student of Raj Yoga meditation and also investigates the work of other researchers and teachers who are shedding light on spiritual realities, a real spiritual journey. And Al, you're going to be talking to us today on the topic of the power of perception, seeing the world through a fresh lens, which is great because I think we need to at the moment, right? So I'll hand over to you. Looking forward to the session. Thank you.
Hi there. Good morning. So a fresh lens. So I wonder what the lens that we're currently looking through looks like. I think typically we're really wired up at a basic level for the survival and growth of the body at the basic level. And so we're kind of sitting behind a lens and we're seeing life through a kind of operating system, if you like, that is really optimized for our particular species. And when we look at nature, we'll see that every creature is experiencing the world around them in a unique way according to their specific needs. So if we see ourselves as actually part of this natural environment and see that we too have a filtered vision and a sensory experience of the world, we can see that we're not actually seeing the world as it is exactly, but we're seeing the world according to mainly our survival needs. So this basic lens that we're seeing through is something to really get us by at the most simple, essential level. And then I think when we achieve a certain level of survival, you could say comfort, and we want to grow even further, it becomes apparent to us that we can do much, much more as a group and than we can do as an individual, that we can protect each other, we can cooperate with each other, we can share our kind of learning and our experiences to develop in a way that is much more expansive than if we continue to just try and develop as an individual unit. So we see this in many aspects of nature where there is cooperation between groups of creatures to achieve much, much more than an individual can. But at the same time, this group consciousness can also be quite limiting because it needs certain members of the group to be more, you could say, extrovert or outgoing to explore and to test things. But if everyone wants to go out and explore and test things, this means that the kind of the central base of security can be at risk. So we need that balance, or nature needs that balance between the safety of the nest, you could say, or the tribe or the group, plus those few that can go out and explore and see what some new opportunities or new possibilities are. So as we realize that we need to include an awareness of others and have this cooperation, I think we start to look more into our inner world, because this is where we need to understand more deeply about the way that we do cooperate and what motivates us to cooperate, and to not just cooperate, to give as well, and to share ideally in a loving way, in a way that we want to, not that we have to because we know that it's important for our survival, but a feeling of purpose, and that it is something is we get pleasure from it. And obviously this is all built into us, so that this system holds together. So with this inner lens, looking through the inner lens, instead of looking outwards for our survival of the basic lens, we need to invert that vision. So we're now looking into our inner world from the other direction. So although it does beg the question, where am I if I can be inside myself looking out into the world through a lens, and also I'm somewhere looking into my inner world through a lens as well. Because when I look into my inner world into a lens, what I tend to see is two essential divisions. One is, how much attention and how much priority do I give to my individual survival, growth, comfort, and desires, you could say? And how much attention or importance do I give to the growth, survival, development, cooperation of the wider group, or the whole, which could be my family, my tribe, my society, my nation, my world. You get the idea. And so this balance is constantly something at play, which comes to us in almost every situation we could imagine. Is this something where I need to be more conscious of what is best for the whole long term, or is it something that I need to deal with short term in terms of making myself a healthy contributor to the whole, which requires some, you could say, selfish or self-focused attention, but then that helps me play my part with the whole. So we're always juggling this. How do I look after myself? What are my needs? But not go too far into what my needs are and my indulgences, but keep those two things in balance constantly. And we can only do that if we go into our inner world and we actually understand that this balance is going on. And for someone who doesn't explore their inner world, they may tend to be unaware of this balance and possibly focused on the evidence that they get from immediate gratification of the body. And this is something in Raj Yoga we refer to as body consciousness, which is prioritizing the immediate needs of myself and my immediate identifications in terms of my role, my place of residence, where I grew up, my own experiences. It's all about me. And when we get to to do more inner work, we can see that in order to really develop myself and as a species and as a human race, you could say, the only way that we can go beyond this limitations of the me and my own experiences is to relate to others, to interact and cooperate, and see something that that I can't see for myself. I rely on those around me to inform me of what it looks like from their point of view. And so this cooperation is very much about communication of what does it look like for you? It looks like this for me, but I'm aware that I'm only actually seeing a small part of the picture through my limited operating system. So I need you and I need you and I need you, who all may disagree about what you're seeing, to actually share your vision so that we can see what this whole situation really looks like, rather than assume that if what I see from this direction is something that you're seeing from your direction. And when we communicate efficiently without taking personally or over-identifying with my particular position, we can make massive advances, because what I think I see may be actually very different from what you're seeing. And if I've got that, you could say, humility to not be over attached to what I see and to take into consideration another's point of view and be really interested in what they're seeing, I may put together those several pieces of the puzzle and actually be able to see what's really going on. So that extends my operating system, if you like, into a network where I can actually see, like, from a multi kind of visual point of view, like a multi-camera kind of, or kind of setup, where I can see the whole 360 degrees. So let's have a moment for some meditation. Now, I say meditation, this is a word that we often use, but actually mostly we're referring to contemplation, because this is what helps us understand what's going on in our inner world, whereas meditation is something that we tend to do individually and just in silence, so that we can allow these questions that we might have during our contemplation to just unravel naturally. They tend to kind of just emerge up into our mind while we're sitting in silence. We tend to get answers in that way. But let's try a little bit of inner world work or visioning. So something that's really very important, I find, is to start off with a good intention for concentration and a very relaxed, upright kind of centered awareness, you could say. So I'm very attentive, but in a very relaxed way. So sit upright and let's just take a few deep breaths. And focusing on the breath helps us go inward into a central spatial awareness of ourselves. So take a really nice deep breath and let your lungs fill up right down to your tummy. This is really time for you now, so really make the most of it. So maybe see your inner world as like a pillar, maybe a pillar of light or a pillar of energy that runs through the core of your being. Some like to think of it as the spine or the column of energy systems through the body. But just be aware of that inside the body feeling. Now be aware of where you are in the room and find a point of attention somewhere in the near distance that you can just keep your eyes focused on gently without straining to really look at it, but just kind of daydream into this reference point, almost like you're just hanging up your awareness, like you would hang up your coat, and just let it kind of just suspend in a very loose way. Now, our senses are generally aimed outwards to detect our experience from the outer world. So now let's internalize those searchlights by shifting our focus inwards. And let's ask this question: as an intelligent, advanced being, does it make sense really for me to focus on my individual needs for long-term growth and advancement? Or should I have a balance between my own inner needs and my viewpoint of the wider group? Let your mind go to a recent memory of where you had some collaboration with a colleague or a team. And just kind of remember what it was like when you were wanting to voice your opinion and waiting for your turn to speak, listening to what the others had to say. Were you giving it equal measure? Were you as interested and really wanting to understand the viewpoint of another? Or were you practicing what you might be about to say? So all these things are indications of where our priorities are. Because of course we can have fear of what others think of us, which can block us from really listening. Now let's practice taking our mind into the future of the next time we have a meeting or an interaction with others. And just imagine we could subdue this basic animal-like need to protect ourselves and shield ourselves and put on some kind of a performance of who we think we are or the way we want others to see us, and really, really listen and take an interest in others' points of view. Because very often, even an idea that maybe seems to not fit the immediate requirement trigger some really scheme that could another. Just imagine where everyone is so interested in what could manifest from that really sincere intention to understand the other. Just imagine the magic that could come out of such an interaction. And how good I would feel when I picked up that subtle feeling that I'd really been heard and understood. With no competition to try and outdo anyone. No one trying to outdo me. Just that genuine teamwork and respect. Just imagine what could be possible. So just sit for a moment now. And imagine these kind of interactions and how this could totally transform my attitude. And when I see the proof of what this can do, I will revert to this particular bias or balance between these two states much, much more naturally, rather than having to think I must be more attentive or change the balance. It will become my nature, my natural go-to state of consciousness. Just think how it would feel to know that others too are really, really listening to you and understanding where you're coming from. Of course, this may seem quite idealistic because we're often going to be dealing with circumstances that seem to be very self-focused or selfish, and it may harden us to want to try and make it right using some kind of force. But this is never really going to work long term. We have to understand each other. And this is what the great teachers for thousands of years have been trying to convey to us, is put aside the concerns of your own little body for a short temporary period and really collaborate and get on with your neighbours, or your colleagues, or your family, your people you're in connection with, because you grow together. So the choice is mine. Do I want to have a shrunken attitude that's hard and shrivels eventually? Or do I want to pass on my enthusiasm and my good intentions and creativity to something bigger than myself that lasts? Thank you very much for giving me the time this morning to consider some of these ideas, and I hope you have a wonderful day and do experiment with some of these ideas. They probably seem quite common sense, but very often we can overlook them when we're focused on the immediate needs in front of us. Hi, Matthew.
Hi, Al. Thanks for some wonderful insights there into perception and balancing on the self with the community and others, and a lovely meditation as well. I think very much a time where you do need to learn how to use our insights to cooperate with others, right? Cooperation is something the world really
The world is crying out
needs.
for it. It's so obvious, isn't it? It's like the whole of nature is just crying out. Look, you lot, talk to each other, listen to each other, like we do, like nature
Yeah,
does.
yeah,
No,
absolutely.
nature just seems to work, doesn't it? It also seems to fit together and work so seamlessly, even though we might have opinions about things that might be good or bad, but it does seem to work pretty well. And yet we think we're so clever, and we're not working very well. So maybe there's something to learn from nature.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually reminding me because it's Mental Health Awareness Week this week, and just happened to be looking at their site, and they're very much focused on reconnecting with nature and how it can really help people with anxiety. And as you say, the natural laws of nature do work well. It's when we move away from them, isn't it, that we start to run into problems. Mm.
I like something that Alan Watts says that nature is wiggly, and you can tell wherever human beings have been because there are straight lines everywhere. It's kind of this weird obsession with wanting to, and in terms of in terms of IT, many of the audience will be very clear on the difference or the limitation of a serial type of stream and parallel thinking or working, and our left brain tends to really pull us into this kind of one step at a time, one sequence, and it's so limited. But it comes from just believing that we're a machine from the past 500 years. It's just like we've become obsessed with this idea that the world is made up of bits that we have to force into some kind of a sequence to make them do something, which is not what nature's trying to do.
No, well, that's why we like to be a bit different at this IT company and have these meditation sessions to get the other to get the other perspective as you've been talking about. So
Yeah.
good thing. But yeah, thanks so much for joining us today, Al. We should chat for
Oh, it's all right. It was really
um,
nice too. Thank you. It's
and
wonderful that we can do this on Zoom. It's
yeah, it is.
fantastic. It's
Yeah, absolutely. It's been one of the silver linings of the pandemic cloud has been accessibility of these sort of things on video calls. So that's been great. But thanks everybody else for joining us today. Also, it's great to have all of you with us on YouTube, and I hope you'll be able to join us again next week. We have Matthias Stefan joining us from Switzerland, and he's going to be talking about heart-minded, think less, love more. All these topics just seem to be related, which is great. And you'll also see on the YouTube chat, there is a feedback box there you can click on, and you can also visit the Oneness webpage to catch up on previous sessions and find out about upcoming sessions. And as I always say, please do share generously with these links with your colleagues, friends and family, because we really believe that everybody can benefit from more of this contemplation, meditation, introspection these days. So thanks to everyone, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks, El.